All right. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
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 All right, very good. So welcome everyone
Yeah.
to season
Yes.
season 9 of Environmental Fridays. You could see our link there online for our website. In the right-hand corner, bottom is a QR code that could also get you to our website, and we'll talk about that some more. But we want to really welcome everyone. I see Brenda. Cool. She's here. All right, I'll turn off my phone. Okay. So good. What I want to begin first is a quotation that I just found this week by Chief Dan George. I believe he was a chief Native American, Native Canadian, actually. He was from Canada. And he said, "We are as much alive as we keep the earth alive." For me, that strikes me as that we are connected. We are connected. That's part of the fundamental reality of life is that connection, and that we are off the environment, and the environment, the universe, is in us. And from a chemistry point of view, some of the most abundant elements of the universe is found in us: oxygen, hydrogen, carbon, and so on. So, yes, we are definitely connected at the very basic level. In addition, the poet Mary Oliver, um, in a poem that she entitled "I Am Pleased to Tell You," asks the question: isn't everything in the world shared? And the answer from Environmental Fridays is yes. And let's keep the earth alive. Let's keep um, ourselves alive. It's interchangeable. We are connected fundamentally. So, um, that's a few thoughts there to begin our ninth episode, our ninth season. I wanted to give an overview also of this year's Environmental Fridays. At this point, we have 15 episodes for season 9, which stretches from September to December. For season 10, starting in January, going all the way through to May, we have 21 episodes, 21 guest speakers already lined up. So that's completed. I will be sending out an email to those who might be interested in co-hosting um, some of the episodes in season 10. So that will be sent out either later today or over the weekend. So we have quite a bit. One of the things that was struck me as different this year in preparing for Environmental Fridays is that there was a lot of interest in persons wanting to be a co-host. So you will notice that some of our episodes this year has two co-hosts. Traditionally, we were doing one co-host per episode, but this season and hopefully moving forward, uh, we'll have two co-hosts per episode. So that's showing more interest in Environmental Fridays. We have speakers that come from a wide range of places: Arizona, California. Our speaker today is from Colorado. We have across the United States as well as the Caribbean, Trinidad, and so on. So Guyana going to be in the house as well. So yeah, we have a really nice variety of speakers in terms of topics as well as where their affiliations are. So I'd like to start here with introducing a friend, a new friend, Elaine Lembo. Is that right, Elaine?
Yes.
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 So she, saw Environmental Fridays and wanted to connect up with us. And so she
Hema,
is a new partner, co-sponsor for
ಅಲ್ಲಿ
Fridays. We
ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಇರಿ.
somebody needs to mute. Somebody needs to
ಯಾರು ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಅವ್ರು ವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದು 10 ನಿಮಿಷ.
somebody needs to mute. Let's see. I can see. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. So yeah, we need everyone to mute, please. Elaine is the editor-in-chief for Caribbean Compass, and she is a veteran marine journalist and sailor. She has a passion for the ocean and for the islands, also very much concerned with climate change. She is a fellow at Metcalf Institute for Marine and Environmental Reporting with the University of Rhode Island. She also has connections and partnerships with Yale Climate Connections and the Environmental Protection in the Caribbean. So I just wanted her to, as our new partner, to just say a few words really quickly, introduce herself, introduce Caribbean Compass. So Elaine, you could go ahead for at least 5 minutes or so.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you for including me. And thank you, everyone, for this wonderful, wonderful collaboration. The article that Desmond sent me about the Environmental Fridays included emphasis on raising awareness. And I want to say that because Caribbean Compass is a free publication, I want to make you all aware of exactly what its range and scope are. It started nearly 30 years ago in Bequia in the St. Vincent and the Grenadines by Sally and Tom Ertle. And they of course ran it as a print publication, and it was quite large, and it kicked off. It was very successful. They were circumnavigators who swallowed the anchor. That's what sailors say. We swallowed the anchor. And they did it in Bequia. And so they started this publication that because they didn't know what to do with themselves and they wanted something creative. And they actually succeeded quite well in creating it as a voice for sailors and island dwellers in the Caribbean. Sally and Tom are in their 70s. They wanted to sell the publication, and the new buyers are quite young and they're very digitally savvy. So, and we all realize I knew Sally from my decades at Cruising World magazine, which is a sailing magazine, and from my years of sailing in the Caribbean. So Sally and I had become friends and colleagues, professional colleagues and personal friends. And we knew that when Sally and Tom were ready to retire, that the magazine needed to take on a fresh look because it is, of course, the 21st century. And the new owners are very keen on that. So now they like to call Caribbean Compass a multi-platform channel, a multi-channel platform. We still have the print issue. It comes out 12 times a year. I edit that and create it. And then many of our stories, not all of them, many of them go onto our website and come up and links on our social media. So we, of course, do Facebook. We have a very, very successful weekly e-letter that goes out to about 16,000 people or readers, and the print issue, which is still available at chandleries and customs offices, clearing in certain ferry offices throughout the islands. However, as you can imagine, like many publications are, we are transitioning to a digital platform, but we still do print. And the issue is available on our website as a PDF in PDF reader format. My collaboration with Yale Climate Connections and Environmental Protection in the Caribbean is just born out of a genuine desire on my part to make sure that the experts get get their platform.
Mm.
I'm not an expert. I'm not an environmental expert. I'm an environmental writer and reporter. My job as editor of the Caribbean Compass is to make sure that stories that you believe are important for people in the Caribbean and beyond to read get published. That's my role. And realize too that as we have grown the Caribbean Compass, many of the readers are not just in the islands now. They're getting us from whether they're in the United Kingdom, whether they're in France, whether they're in South Africa, whether they're in Thailand, wherever they are, they're finding us and they're reading us. So the news, whether it's US, UK, wherever, there's a big interest from Europe and the United States in the Caribbean. That's always existed. And so we're keeping it alive and actually making it bigger. So if you look at an issue of Caribbean Compass, you'll see, and the website, you'll see that we have a special dedicated page and space for stories of environmental interest. And if you do look at some of our recent issues, you'll see that in collaboration with EPIC, Environmental Protection in the Caribbean, we launched a photo contest and it was extremely successful. And we'll be announcing the winners in upcoming issues. And it was all about seas and scenes, love the Caribbean, why you believe we need to make sure that we continue to protect these beautiful islands. And you'll be seeing more about that in the coming months. But stories from Puerto Rico, stories from Belize, about trash, about coral reef restoration, all sea turtles, everything. It's all important, and I'm just here to make sure you get your due. And that's why I have such an open door policy. I did try last year to get a hold of speakers who participated in the Environmental Fridays, and
Right, that's right. I remember
it was
that.
a little difficult to get the message through that I
Okay,
needed at least it has to be a cohesive story. It has to have a beginning, middle, and end. It
right.
could be 500 words, it could be 800 words, it could be 1,500 words, but I can't just grab raw remarks from a speech. So I had to have an opportunity to be able to express that need with all of you because I do want your stories, I do want your findings, but they have to be in story form so that
Yeah.
people will read them. So
Yeah.
that's it.
So that's a good plug there for our speakers is starting with PK that you could get even more exposure to your story beyond what you do here at Environmental Fridays. So you could also, based on our collaboration with Caribbean Compass, have your stories, your your remarks, your passion about whatever topic you have also be publicized and published in the Caribbean Compass. So we thank you, Elaine, for being persistent, and we'll try to keep that something that we talk about often and remind our speakers and others. There might be others too, right? That may have stories that could actually end up with them being guest speakers. So
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
And just bear in mind, there has to be some kind of Caribbean tie-in.
right,
There
right.
has to be, whether it has to do with coral reef restoration, mental health in the island.
Pollution is all over the Caribbean too. So yes, as
One story that has come up that I find fascinating that I wish I could find someone to write more about is the waste that is involved in Carnival
mm,
and
oh,
how
I know
effort
the exact
ended up.
person. I know the exact person. I'll talk to you after this.
Great,
She has
great.
a business based on that.
Really?
Yes, we'll talk
Wow.
about it after. Yes.
Okay. There, I'm
All
happy.
right.
Okay. Have a great session, everyone, and feel
Yes.
free to reach out to me,
All
please.
right. Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. So just sort of continuing on here in terms of our partnerships, another partnership that is very important to Environmental Fridays is our partnership with the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. We'll probably talk about it some more, but you could see that at the very top. Then some of our continuing partners is the American Chemical Society, ACS, and Brenda and myself are on that committee, and you'll hear about Brenda here some more. And the Benton Spirit Community Newspaper, I'm currently in the offices, live streaming from the offices of Benton Spirit Newspaper. An interesting historical fact about our offices is that they were once occupied by Al Capone, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, we may have some stories on Al Capone for you too. And then my sister's organization on social emotional wellness called GC Scored, Every Piece Matters, is also a co-sponsor and partner. All right, just quickly, if you want to see the entire schedule for this semester, as well as the bios for both all the guest speakers and all the co-hosts, this is where you can go. Either use the link or use the QR code to get there. We have 132 past videos, past episodes. If you want to take a look at some of our past episodes, 132 of them, you can again use this QR code or the link. In fact, if you just simply go to YouTube, because they are all on YouTube, and you put in Environmental Fridays, do a search for Environmental Fridays on YouTube, you will find them there. Just one more item before we get to introducing our co-host today, environmental testimonies. What we'd like to encourage you to do after each episode, give us your thoughts, give us your reactions, things that we could improve on, give us suggestions about possible speakers, possible co-hosts. Send them all to Murray D at environmentalfridays.com. We want to keep building our environmental audience. So my co-host today is Dr. Brenda Linnell, and she is at Northern New Mexico College. She's an assistant professor of chemistry there. And our connection, I believe, began when we both now serve on the American Chemical Society Committee for Diversity, Minority Affairs. And so we know each other from working there together. She has a PhD in chemistry from the University of Texas at El Paso. And her area of research focus, is organic synthesis and analysis of nanostructured materials. So Brenda, it's really a pleasure to work with you here. And it's your turn now to introduce our speaker for today.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm really happy to be here. As you mentioned, here we have a very provocative episode of Environmental Fridays. We have pollution from womb to tomb, and our guest speaker is Dr. PKB. He's joining us from the Professor of Medicine University in Colorado. He moved from India with his wife early 70s, and his specialties in medicine, pediatric allergies, asthma, and immunology. And he has maintained his academic affiliation with the University of Colorado. He's currently the clinical professor in the Department of Medicine under the division of AAI. He's also the founder, chairman of an active medical global charity, namely International Asthma Service, since 1992. He has evaluated nearly 45,000 patients free of charge in developing countries in Asia and Africa. And in addition to that, he has trained around 4,000 specialists in India and neighboring countries. And he's the lead editor for 3 global textbooks on allergy. So we are really lucky to have Dr. PKV here with us,
Very-
sharing his thoughts.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. I don't know, let me see whether I have to admit. Brenda, for the kind introduction. And first of all, I want to congratulate Desmond Murray for this initiative. Very, very unique initiative. And this has going to have implications. It already has for several years, and it will have a lot more in future because environmental changes are very, very significant, and it is getting significant, more and more significant day by day. So we need to have more awareness. Awareness is what actually promotes action, and that is what this particular initiative is supposed to do. Environmental Friday is increasing the awareness. Awareness leads to the younger minds to get into more action. I hope some of our efforts will be more fruitful. I have one question for Mr. Desmond.
Yes.
You had asked me to have a couple of slides initially on my bio. Should I skip it? Should I go ahead and talk about it?
Do whatever is comfortable to you.
Okay, good. Because I don't want, I know the time issue. So, but I'll go ahead and start. My
Okay.
background, as Brenda was saying, is from, I was born in India, in South India, in a town called Mysore, which is basically a major educational center in southern India. I come from a fairly modern, but at the same time traditional Hindu family, and we were a big family. We were 16 of us, and we had several assistants at the house. It's like what we call as a joint family. And you can see a small picture there with my dad and my brothers, siblings, and their families. In addition, we had many animals. So we grew up with animals. We were breeding dogs. We had a couple of German shepherds, pigeons, cat. So it was a busy family. At the same time, we were also 4 health professionals in the same family. 4 of us attended the same medical school, including my dad, 2 of my brothers, and myself. And to keep it short, my education was all in Mysore, India, which is, I already told you, is a major educational institution. This is the picture of the medical college. We just celebrated the 100th year centenary last year of our medical college. So it is the 4th oldest medical institution in India. Got married in 1970. Within 2 months, we moved to USA, to Rhode Island, where our co-host, I think, is Elaine, lives in Newport. So that is exactly where we ended up in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. I worked in Rhode Island for about 3 years. And we started our life very, very simple because the government of India would give us only $8 to leave the country, irrespective of what you got. So we started from sub-zero in US. So we know the system here, we appreciate the system here. So we are very familiar with the lifestyle both ways in US. And for my fellowship, I moved to Colorado in 74. And I liked the weather, I liked the surroundings, I liked the mountains. I decided to just stay here. And I'm still here in Fort Collins, which is 50 miles north of Denver. Sorry, it doesn't move. One second. And this has already been talked about by Brenda. To keep it short, I have got 2 major things. One, I teach not only at the University of Colorado, but also at several different training programs in India. And we are also active in the charitable arm of our organizations, where we are doing not only patient care, but also research, technology transfer. So these are some of the pictures I'm going to run through. These are some of our programs in India. Allergy program. This is the graduation pictures. We have, say, for example, in 1986, we did not have one single certified or qualified allergist in South India with 300 million population. I'm very proud to say we have made some impact now after about 40 years of work, 20 years of intense academic work. We have almost 4,000 specialists across India and beyond in the neighboring countries. So coming to the main topic of today, it is a very, very interesting topic. I have named it pollution, womb to tomb, for very good reasons, which you will appreciate soon. So, for a few things before we go to the specifics, we were in Antarctica, myself and my wife, in 2007. And at that time, we found, and we know this is the cleanest part of the globe. And the reason is extremely clearly, very fastly evident. That is, we are not there. Human population basically is zero. So, and that is the main reason for this being so clean, no pollution, because we are the main reason. The humans are the main reasons bringing the pollution into this globe. So I was also in Masai Mara in Kenya, where it showed that these tribal people near Masai Mara National, the very, very famous wild reserve, I went and spent a couple of hours with these tribal people, and I found one unique thing: their closeness with nature. They live with nature, they look healthy, and they get all the things they need for their livelihood within 5 miles of the radius of the village. So it was very, very evident that these people are in sync with nature, and that is the secret of their well being, both physically, probably mentally too. This is what we see in our cities. You see that we are always going against nature, and we create all different types of pollution and many other issues. And because of this, we also pay a huge cost. Because of this, we have many medical issues, mental issues, psychological issues, so many different issues that we are facing every day because we are not in sync with nature. And this is the message of these two slides. So, when does this problem start? The problem starts even before you're born. So, when they did some research back in early 2000 and was published in Lancet, they found very, very major allergens like dust mite antigen was found in the amniotic fluid in the pregnant lady around 16 weeks of age. And the same substance was also present in the mom in her serum. And when the child was born, when they took the cord blood, the level has increased. So what it means is there is a transplacental and transamniotic, that is a transfer of these allergens from the mother to the fetus. Another interesting thing, which was also very bothersome type of data, was found when I was just going through the surfing of literature. So I found that there was a small number of children, newborn infants, which were randomly selected by the Red Cross from USA, and the cord blood. The cord blood is always coming only from the fetus. It is not coming from the mother. It's coming from the fetus. It had 287 pollutants, and many of them were dangerous chemicals, cancer-causing chemicals, disease-causing chemicals, and pesticides. So what it gave, the very disturbing message is these pollutants, we think that we are only getting affected by them when you're breathing, but actually they go through your skin, mucous membrane, respiratory tract, enter the unborn child too. So the child is already born polluted. And these fine particulate matter, these are very, very small particles, enter through the pregnancy. There are what we call as two vulnerable times. The vulnerable time for the mother is the first trimester of pregnancy, before between around 8th week of gestation and around 24. This is the time organogenesis, that means the growth of the fetus. Different organs are being formed, and this is the most vulnerable time for the fetus. And when the fetus gets um, infiltrated with these pesticides or with these chemical pollutants, you can imagine the damage that occur later on. And another vulnerable period after the child is born is in the first year of life. The fastest growth of our life occurs in the first year of life. For example, the lung starts developing around 6th week with only 24 million alveoli. Alveoli are the terminal portions of the lung where the gas exchange takes place. By 4 years of age, you have 250 million. So a huge growth occurs in the first few years of life and the maximum in the first year of life. So these are vulnerable periods that we are exposed to pollution. So let's look at some of the indoor pollution. The child is born, comes home, parents are highly excited. They buy all the new beddings, new clothes, new pram, new carpets. They paint their walls. They have everything ready for the child and they are welcoming the child into their house. But looking at critically, pollutant wise, actually you might be creating an issue there because with all these new painted stuff, artificial material, which look very nice and shiny, there are certain substances called volatile organic compounds. The main one is formaldehyde. And these emanate into the ambient air at room temperatures. You cannot see it, you can't smell it, but if you are sensitive, if you have allergy to something else, it can irritate you. But normal people may not even know that these things are happening. These are volatile organic compounds. One of the major ones that occur outside volatile is benzene, which we are going to address later. And that can happen in your urban homes and offices because now the way the houses are constructed, they're very tight. You don't have cross ventilation. All the windows are closed all the time. So the indoor pollution is as important or maybe more than the outdoor pollution. This is something we need to be aware of. And this is a list of all the different items that can emanate these air pollutants. And it has got a whole list here, which the reader can read about it when you share the slides. So it has got so many different things that are mentioned right here. And we need to be aware these pollutants are unseen, sometimes not even we are aware of it unless we are knowledgeable about such things can happen. Now, another thing I just ran into recently, there has been research at CU Boulder, University of Colorado, in the Boulder campus, where they found that employees at nail polishing salons are also at a very high risk of developing major issues like cancer due to exposure of high levels of volatile organic compounds. The main one again being benzene and formaldehyde. I don't know how many of you been into these nail polishing salons, but if you enter this salon, which is usually in a very small, crammed up place with very poor ventilation, you will see young people working there. And the smell of the pungent odor of the interior is extremely evident. As soon as you enter, you get hit with that smell. And these people work on it 10 hours a day. 10 hours a day for months and years. And no wonder they can have major issues with inhalation of these noxious agents, the volatile organic compounds. Another major source of indoor pollution is biomass, where wood, charcoal, crop residues, raw plants are all used as fuel for cooking and heating. 90% of the rural people in less developed countries, in India, China, Africa, use biomass for cooking, for heating water. And so that means 3 billion people, more than half the number of people worldwide are using this biomass. So one of the things biomass puts out is the particulate matter, we call it. These particulate matter, if you look at it, I just put this slide to show you. We talk about PM 2.5, PM 10, just to show you in comparison to the human hair, it is much, much smaller, 7 to 8 times smaller. And it is basically unseen. But the smaller the particle is, the deeper it goes into your respiratory tract, and it can even enter your circulation. So this picture is showing you intense indoor air pollution due to cooking in a village dwelling in India. This mother has to uh, prepare fresh food. She does not have any ways to store the food. So every time, every lunch and dinner, she has to make fresh. So she spent almost 6 to 8 hours a day cooking in front of that fire where she's using the firewood. And look at who is standing beside is her small child. And that child is at a high risk of developing lower respiratory tract infection, and the maturity of the lungs in that child is going to suffer significantly. The maturity of the lung will suffer. And the mother, even though she is not a smoker, that means she's not smoking cigarettes or BDs or any tobacco, she will develop what we call as a non-smoker COPD or emphysema or chronic obstructive lung disease due to inhalation of the biomass smoke, which is very, very rich in all these different particulate matter. And the other source of indoor pollution is incense burning, which many people do in India and China and several other countries. And this incense smoke is also not benign. If it is intense, if some people think the more incense I burn, better is more spiritual I am, it will be better effect on the prayer. But that is not true. Actually, it may be a hazardous thing. It contains many noxious chemicals and gases. Some are even carcinogenic, that causes cancer, and asthmogenic, causing asthma. Another very common source is mosquito coil, which is used quite commonly, again in the developing countries, to keep the mosquitoes away. But the mosquito coil, when you burn it all through the night, can emanate particulate matter as much as 100 cigarettes, as well as formaldehyde, which is volatile organic compound. These coils can be quite dangerous than the mosquitoes themselves. So this is something you need to be aware of. Now coming to outdoor pollution. So let us try this particular movie. I hope it works. Give me a minute.
While you're waiting on that, those are some wow, life-changing statistics and information that you just gave us in terms of indoor pollution.
Air pollution consists of chemicals or particles in the atmosphere that pose serious health and environmental threats. But what causes air pollution, and what does it mean for our planet?
Maybe it is.
It's sort of held up, stuck.
Some air pollution comes from natural sources like volcanic eruptions, wildfires, or allergens. But most air pollution results from human activities such as energy use and agriculture. There are different types of human-made air pollution. When we burn fossil fuels to produce energy, they release greenhouse gases into the air. These emissions, such as carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and fluorinated gases, trap heat from the Earth's atmosphere, leading to a rise in global temperatures. This creates a cycle where air pollution contributes to climate change, and climate change creates higher temperatures. In turn, higher climate change increases smog because it forms in the presence of high ultraviolet radiation. More frequent extreme weather, such as flooding, contributes to damp conditions and therefore to a rise in mold. Warm pollen production. Smog is a type of air pollution health effects. Smog can be divided into two categories, sulfurous and photochemical.
Yeah, it's stuck, I think. I think he dropped off. Hopefully he'll come back on soon. But I mean, the information he's already shared with us is like, wow. The different sources of indoor pollution, plus how it affects us even while we are in the womb. That was crazy. What are some of your thoughts so far while we wait for him to come back, I think?
Dr. Murray,
Yes.
we've been for 3 years working with people in our community with asthma. And so what he's saying to us now has really opened up my eyes and my heart and my brain to research more of why our community is so high with asthma. I don't even know when anyone has told us or given us a smog report, a wildfire report, a pollen report. I don't think anyone has looked at the increasing levels of children with asthma, and then he's talking about from the womb. These are all things that's so educational for us in our endless endeavors and trying to help people in our community with asthma. And there may be others on this call who's trying to do the same in their respective fields, if not asthma, in their own community. So very, very enlightening so far. I cannot wait for him to return.
Yeah, he's coming back in here.
Thanks so much, Desmond. It's really interesting. And we have an upcoming lecture. It will be recorded on burning of biomass and wood burning stoves related to indoor air pollution. So the particulate and also volatile compounds that are produced is very significant.
Right.
So I'll try to see if we could get the same lecture maybe as part of Environmental Fridays.
Okay, good.
Dr. Zhang Li from the
Can you hear me?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Sorry about the mess.
Well, we were discussing the information you already presented. I mean, that's a whole thing by itself. Like, it's a lot to talk about. Literally from the womb, we are being polluted.
Can I continue?
Oh, absolutely.
Let me go back
Okay.
to this slide. Let me see if I can. Sorry about that technical issue.
Not a oh yeah, this is not a
Maybe
problem. We know this.
don't worry. We'll just continue.
Yeah, it's all good. And we do have some people's hands raised, so you guys
Okay,
could wait until,
no problem.
yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
is this a serious problem? Answer is definitely yes. Because according to WHO report in 2019 itself, 4.2 million deaths worldwide was blamed on pollution. Now, let us look at some simple things. What happens when the child goes to school in the school bus? They have done studies to show that over a 24-hour school day, although the child spends only 10% of the time in commuting, this commuting contributes to 30% of the particulate matter exposure during the day. So the school-going children are also at a risk because of the diesel exhaust fumes that are emanating from these vehicles. So there are many cities across the world where they have stopped using diesel vehicles and it's converted into electric or gas. So air pollution and children. Children are especially at a higher risk because they are growing fast and they move fast. They move a lot more. So if you look at the activity of a child is 6 times more than adult. Adult spends about 21 minutes per day outdoors. Child spends almost more than 2 hours outdoors. And also, the child breathes fast and is much more active. So, the per square meter exposure of the pollutants is much higher in children compared to adults. So, they are at a higher risk, 5 times more deposition of these particles in the lungs in children compared to adults. So let's look at the forest fires, which is a common problem across US. At any one time, they say even small ones, if you include around 2,000 fires are going on in 60 to 70 locations. So this is actually a picture I took from my backyard in Fort Collins, Colorado. A huge fire in Colorado, in northern Colorado, several years ago, but significant. And from forest fire, you have many things that emanate from forest fire. The major one is particulate matter, 2.5. Very small particles that when they are inhaled deep into the lungs, they enter the blood circulation. So there are significant adverse effects on respiratory system and cardiac system. It's one of the main reasons why we advise people not to go out, not to get involved in physical activity on these days, because outdoor it's full of this particulate matter and you are going to have effects because of this. It not only affects air quality but also visibility, and also can cause, if it is acute exposure, it will be carbon monoxide poisoning and death also. So these are some of the things we should be aware. Now, the air pollution is not just affecting only the lungs, it can affect the heart. It can cause blood vessel narrowing, increase stickiness of the blood, increase clot formation, and also makes the heart beat irregularly. So if you look at the right side of the slide, the relative risk of sudden heart attack is as bad as smoking. Waiting in the high pollutant area in the traffic is as bad as smoking. Recent evidence also has shown some sort of a close relationship, which is bothersome again, of childhood cancer, especially acute leukemia. In adults, Hodgkin lymphoma. This has been shown in not too far from where I live, where there is significant amount of oil shale operations are going on. And they found that the prevalence of childhood leukemia is significant more in areas which are around 8 miles radius around these oil exploration and drilling operations. And there is more study going on. This is a new thing that has been noted by the University of Colorado. And noise is another major pollutant we need to know, because it can affect the fetus at around 24th week. The fetus can definitely hear and respond. We all know that. So pregnant ladies should try to stay away from all these loud noises if possible. And the wired music that we see all the time can also potentially cause significant nerve damage. So nerve damage occurs because of loud noises as well as continuous insult that is occurring with these gadgets that people wear. Some of the remedial measures that we discuss would be there are, this is a very, very complicated issue, air pollution. So there are certain non-modifiable factors. You can't change the whole thing. You can't change the sex. You can't change many other things, but there are certain things you can change. Modifiable factors. One is diet. A diet which is rich in fresh fruits, vegetables, green vegetables, fresh fruits are definitely are beneficial to combat the effects of pollution. And trying to maintain ideal body weight or near body ideal body weight is also helpful, because obesity and pollution are additive factors in adding the links. Cigarette smoking is another additive factor, staying away from cigarette smoke, both first hand, second hand, and third hand. And aeroallergens, allergies, as well as psychosocial stress. This is something new. It's psychological stress is also has been found to be an inflammatory disease. Interleukins are also produced in psychological stress, and they have people who are in polluted areas, if they are stressed out, they get more diseases much faster, much more severe compared to the group that may be psychologically much more balanced, or if they are and also in a cleaner environment. So this has been shown to be another factor we need to be aware of. Some of the plants that people talk about have been used to reduce indoor air pollution. The volatile organic compounds that I was talking about initially, if you use these particular home plants, indoor plants like Boston fern, English ivy, Areca palm, spider plant, they actually absorb these volatile organic compounds. Fresh fruits, as I mentioned to you, act as antioxidants. We need more research in secondhand smoke about weight loss, stress reduction. These are some of the modifiers. So we need the younger people who are interested in this field to take up these things, and also try to go for eco-friendly vehicles, buy electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, bike more, less consumption, more reusing, that is recycling, reducing plastic, excess waste. All these things will help. So that means education, awareness are the key points. And that is what Desmond is doing by having these Friday mornings environmental sessions, by increasing the awareness, increasing the knowledge basis. And that is the best way to protect our environment and for better health. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You.
Excellent topic. We are on time, but if there is some questions that the attendants want to do, we can give it a couple minutes. We thank Dr.
Sure.
Pikibi.
Where is
for
the
his
question? Is
help.
it in chat box, or is it
I
just?
know Pat had her hand up at one time. Pat?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I wanted to, first of all, this is fascinating. And I too am involved in the AFR-asthma program.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I find most interesting is, as a little girl, I grew up in northern Michigan, in the woods, so to speak. And my mom used to take us to Detroit for vacations and to visit family members. At one point in time, I got so sick. It probably was a severe asthma attack. And in being taken to the emergency room, the doctor told her, don't bring her back to Detroit. Now, understand at that time, Detroit was the mecca for the automotive industry.
Mm-hmm.
Every kind of car you could think of was being built in Detroit. All those plants were there. All that pollution was there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just we've known for a really long time what this is. And I am fascinated by his research. And I'm hoping and praying that people are starting to really listen to this, because it has actually been going on for a very long time. And we've ignored it for such a long time. And I don't see how we can ignore it anymore.
Thank you for the comments. And this is a sort of a personal type of experience that you are sharing with us. And that is a lot more significant than showing some slides. And there is enough evidence to back up whatever you're saying. And there is quite a bit of literature on it. And one of the main things that we are worried about is the closeness of the family quarters near high pollutant areas. Say, like you have a traffic junction and you are living about 50 yards from it. The effects of pollutant effects on these families, especially pregnant ladies and small children, is highly significant. So it is the proximity of where you live, how close you are to highly polluted areas. So this is something we need to be aware of. And unfortunately, there is a vicious combination of low socioeconomics, people also living in high pollutant areas. All these things have added up, because that population is at a much higher risk than someone who is socioeconomically better off or living in the rural, away from these high polluted areas. So this is something we need to be aware of.
Yeah. It cuts across a lot of different social and socioeconomic considerations, but as you just said, it could have a disproportionate effect. This is where disparities come from, at least one of the factors. So for example, and I hope Princella jumps in here too, one of the things that we know here in Michigan, I think it's 25% of African Americans. Is that right, Princess?
That is correct.
Yeah, suffer from asthma in our area. And I think it's actually national too, not just a local statistic that African Americans have a higher, and that has to do with what you just said, exposure in urban areas, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also access, so we have a lot of data, especially in the past decade and a half, about health disparities due to various different factors in various diseases, as well as different manifestations of the same disease. So it is a issue that is a hot topic at all our meetings.
Yes.
And something has to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Dr. Murray, that 25% was in 2017, and we truly believe that number is much higher, especially after we have now, unfortunately, seen our children dying of asthma and our grandmothers and others dying of asthma. But it makes me think of what he just stated too. There is a park that we all know in our community called Union Park, and within 25 feet of Union Park is a recycling trash dump. And I had been fighting to get rid of this place because it looks horrible, but also because of the pollution that's coming out of there. In this park of Union Park, there's basketball, there's baseball, the children are there, and there are homes surrounding this spot. And there is no way this place should still be functioning in the nature that it's been functioning, not just beautification, but what it's doing to the environment, where it is surrounded by homes of children and a park where children play for years and years. So again, I thank him for this knowledge he's given us. I won't call out my commissioner who's on this call, but I hope she sees that my fight has not been in vain to do something about this place that's in our community, surrounded by homes and children.
Yes, I think one of the things that are done when you have issues like that is it is not the physicians who can solve the problem. It is the public that does.
Yeah.
So the public forum is most important. And that public voice is more important than a professional voice. And that is why we have what we call as support groups. Support groups are people who take the leadership in the community and bring up that issue, not only locally, but also nationally. And that's what makes the difference, because these are issues that where policies have to change, and it is much more complicated than what we imagine.
Betty has her hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to also raise the issue because it's been a major concern of mine as I drive around the city of Benton Harbor, is what you said about noise pollution and in particular sound. And I have been terribly concerned about the young children at Benton Harbor for years because they are forced to ride around in vehicles where the adults or the drivers in the vehicle have the sound cranked way up, and in particular the bass sound boom boom booming that you can hear for blocks away as they're coming. So these small children are trapped in these vehicles where great damage is being done to their hearing. And I think that we're going to see a large increase in the number of deaf people or hearing impaired people in the future as a result of this. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention as well as the pollution that Priscilla talked about.
Yeah.
Patricia also has
A major issue.
Patricia McGraw from Trinidad.
Okay. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I have a question. There is a proposal at this point in time to build a crematorium on the Eastern Main Road, which is one of the main traffic areas along the East-West corridor in Trinidad, at a point where they have numerous educational institutes, etc. And I'm just thinking, this, although they are supposed to put all sorts of mitigation measures in place, I think more and more this is a very bad idea. I would appreciate all your thoughts on that. A crematorium in the middle of a really quite built-up area, busy thoroughfare with educational institutes in the area.
Yeah. Have they done studies at all?
I don't know about specifically about crematoriums, but burning, if you say.
Yeah.
It could definitely, the smoke is coming, and smoke has, as we just showed you, has a lot of particulate matter plus many other chemicals. So the only way you can make a point out of it is to see if there are agencies that will help to measure them. There are instruments that can be measured. There are instruments that are available that can measure the quantity of these, extent of these exposures. And only when you have some data like that, or to back up from supportive information, then you have a case. So people will listen to you. Otherwise, people will not listen to you. If you just say, I'm concerned, they will not listen unless you show some evidence. Yes, there is already evidence another place this is occurring. This is the data I have. So our conditions are very similar to their conditions. So this is something we need to be concerned. So there will be more weight given for evidence-based type of approach than just showing some concern. That is what I would do, because we had a similar issue here. Where I live is supposed to be a very nice place, right by the side of the lake and all that, and there's a lot of trees and everything. And maybe about a half a mile from there was a cement plant started. They wanted to do some changes in an existing plant where they would increase the production or whatever. 200 trucks will be coming in and out of that place.
Wow.
And with that, all that foundry heat uh, and all the pollutant being released, so we had to make a case for it. So one of the things we did was go into the literature
Yeah.
and get the literature out, get the data out, quote those references, and show them that whatever is going on is not different from what went on at that place, and this is the data we have. So our people will be at a high risk, just like what happened there. So that actually helped to shelf the idea. They shelved the idea. We did not install any type of instruments to measure, but we took the data from similar type of scenarios
Right.
and quoted those studies,
Right.
and that actually helped to shelf the idea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, Pat, do you know if any studies have been done?
We only have studies from other. I only just picked up on this just very recently, and they do have studies from other crematoria in
Okay.
other countries
Right.
showing that the emissions are minimal.
So
But
Oh,
even
minimal.
so, yeah, correct.
I can try to help you, but we need some communication to communicate with. I can communicate with Desmond.
Yeah, and
We
I
can
can
take a
share,
look at it,
yeah,
and
share her information.
we can do a little literature search on it and
Yes.
see whether that is applicable there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Right. I can send Desmond actually the there's an application in for a certificate of environmental clearance, and this is where it's come in, and this is why I picked up on it. And it does have some technical information, and so I will see if I can share that and see if you can think of any ideas. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, PK, what about your international asthma services? How could, because we do have a program, as Princella said, Pat said, we do have a program here in our community that we initiated and are involved in called A for Asthma. What sort of services does your organization provide that we could collaborate with you to enhance what we are doing here?
Our approach is four-pronged, Desmond.
Okay.
One is public education, patient
Okay.
education, public education.
Mhm.
Because in these diseases, chronic diseases, people don't know, majority of the patients do not know anything about their own disease. Okay, so we increase them. So patient education. Second thing we do is physician training and education. So we train the doctors. We actually educate the doctors also. Then the third thing we do is for the developing countries, we provide what technology transfer. We promote. We try to get simple equipment and all that, and try to bring their infrastructure to a reasonable level. Fourth thing we do, we collect data on all these different locations and bring out research papers that might help us to improve ourselves as well as it will be beneficial for others. So this is the four-pronged type of approach we have, and we have a fairly good team. Although I started like a lone ranger, now I have at least about 500 people with me.
Wow.
And at least 150 to 100 highly dedicated people in across the globe. We used to operate in 6 different countries, but now we have channeled it mostly to India. We also operate. We have University of Colorado. We are partners with them. The lot of academicians are partners with us. Highly supportive. Plus, in India, we have training programs where we are educating any one time we are educating 300 physicians. We are training 300 doctors, and we probably potentially taking care of a couple of millions of patients. So the impact has been significant over the years, and I'm not taking credit for it. It is a big team effort, which is happening, and you are welcome to communicate with us, and we can always have some constructive partnership
All right.
where we can work in any of the spheres that I just addressed to.
Okay. Very good. Very good. All right.
And you can go into my website. You know,
Yes. Yes.
so you can, that will basically tell you what all is happening.
Right.
And environmental issue is a big part of it.
Yes. Yeah. So I have your website from your bio and stuff. So
Yes.
we'll follow up on that because we definitely want to have these types of partnerships that will help to enhance the services that we could offer to our people here, not just in Benton Harbor, but across the county, Berrien County, and so on. So, are there other comments or questions? This was a great start to Environmental Fridays. A lot information rich on things that I didn't really think about from the womb to you really gave us from the womb to the tomb. Literally walked us through that. Brenda?
Sorry, we had
Yes,
some
sir.
technical snacks, but I will share the movie with you and you can show it later.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Well, thank you to the guests, all the attendees. Very good questions and comments. Everybody now realizes that we need to inform, to request for our rights to be preserved and do our part in trying to be less exposed, because time of exposure is of essence in this type of pollution. As Dr. P was telling us, the time of exposure, 8-hour journeys. So this is what is of essence. And sometimes we think we are doing good in going in a bicycle, but if we are commuting behind a truck or a bus, it's even worse.
Yeah.
So let's inform ourselves and let's keep doing our part. And it was a delight to be here in this talk. Thank you all for attending, and we'll see you next week.
That's right. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much, Brenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. PVK.
You
are
were
off on a
wonderful.
trip to India.
Thank you.
Are you heading back to India here soon?
Actually, I'll be heading back to India next month, and myself and Kamala, we spent 5 months there because we have so many projects across the country and around in a couple of neighboring countries. I'm also going to Kenya, Mauritius, and you never know where I'll end up again. Depends who wants me in that area, but we have a very, very, I would say, very productive at the same time, interesting life. Half the time I'm here and half the time I'm overseas. Yeah.
Yes. You do a lot of traveling. This is really cool.
I've been doing it for 20 years, and I gave up my private consultation practice about 20 years ago, and that helped me to get a lot more free time to do this activity. So this has been our life's mission.
Good, very good. Well, we are very, very thankful for sharing your time,
Thank you,
expertise, your experience.
Thank you very much.
And we will stay in touch with you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you and bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.